Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's class. I hope you're all doing well. I've lost total track of the days. I know that we're in week 3 of confinement. By the time you're watching this, we'll be in week 4. And I will have started my live classes as well. So I really hope you might think about joining me live. I've been taking classes, not teaching classes, but with my teacher in England, and I never thought it would be as wonderful as it is. And for me as a teacher, it would just be so fantastic to be able to watch you all as we work and make little adjustments, not with my hands, but hopefully you'd feel my comments coming through your own hands, and that would work. So yeah, I really hope that you get a chance to give that a try. But otherwise, I'll carry on doing these classes, which are second best, let's say. So we're going to start by lying down, which is how I often start my classes. And just taking the time to really embrace the ground beneath you. You can choose to have your arms wherever is comfortable. Have your feet flat on the floor, your knees bent. And just take a moment to feel each and every part of your body that's touching the ground. My teacher from England had a lovely expression, which was, it's like letting the butter melt onto the surface of the saucepan, of the frying pan, and just letting that butter cover the whole of the surface. So I don't know if that's something that talks to you, but I found that really helpful. Just completely relaxing into the ground beneath you. Connecting with your breath. And just observing the way that the breath moves through your body. And then if you focus on softening your body, you'll begin to feel that breath waking up your bones, moving your skeleton. That idea of a second body, just about a couple of centimeters smaller than your actual body. And this smaller body is inside your big body. And you're just creating space, a separation between it and your outer body, so that this smaller body can begin to dance a little. Thinking of the skin as a tight layer of clothes, restricting your body from moving. And then as you loosen those clothes, It's like the body takes a sigh of relief and begins to find freedom. So just a few more moments of feeling the ground beneath you, using that ground to support you. And once you feel supported, you can begin to let go and soften. And then the body, the inner body, can awaken. From the touch of your feet against the ground, feed back through your limbs towards your spine. Feel that direct connection between the feet, emptying into the ground beneath you and your spine. Let go of everything between these two places. Let go of your ankles, your knees, your hips. And the more the feet empty into the ground, feeding back to your spine, the more you feel that direct connection. Going to keep that in the left foot, and now just straighten the right leg away from you. Begin by completely relaxing your body. So just wiggle around a little bit, rock from side to side. Relax your right leg, relax your arms, your shoulders. And then just begin to focus on the left foot. Begin to play with pressing the left foot into the ground, letting the knee drift away from you, and feeling how, as the touch of that left foot springs back to your spine, as you press the left foot, the left side of your body begins to lift. So the left bottom begins to lift away from the ground. If you've not done this with me before, just take a second and look at the screen. I'm just playing with my left foot pouring into the ground. And if I keep that channel between the foot and the spine open, then as it presses, my hip rolls away from the ground and I release the pressure and the hip rolls back. If you simply press the foot into the ground and you brace your hip, then you're going to get stuck. There'll be no movement. So let go of the hip, be like a rag doll, and just press the foot into the ground and feel the hip roll off of the ground. So it's not you doing the lifting of the bottom or the lifting of the hip. What you're doing is pressing the left foot into the ground, letting the knee drift away from you and feeling the left bottom lift. And just spend a few more moments playing with that. Perhaps go a little bit more slowly and let the whole of the body then respond. So eventually you'll find that not only is the bottom lifting, but the shoulder begins to lift and the whole body begins to roll over to the right. And then as you release the left foot, the whole body rolls back again. So a few more times on this side. Just pouring the left foot, letting the knee doesn't drop to the side, the knee travels forwards away from you. So you might feel the front of your thigh just beginning to wake up a little bit. Okay, and then roll all the way back onto your back, lengthen the left leg away from you, and just take a second to enjoy that feeling. Probably feel a lot longer in your left leg. And then we're going to do the same thing with the right foot. So place the right foot flat onto the floor. Begin by just completely relaxing your body like a rag doll. The left leg, the right hip, the arms, the shoulders. And then as you become more still, begin to focus on the right foot. From the touch of the ground, feed back to your spine. No bracing in the right hip. And then play with the foot, pouring in and then releasing. Pouring down, the knee drifts forwards and releasing. It's just getting you used to this idea of, we're going to play a lot with this today, but the playing with gravity. The more the foot sinks into the ground, as long as it's connected with your spine, the more lightness and support you'll feel. The lighter the body becomes, the more the body will respond by lifting. And with this particular posture, it's the right bottom that lifts. And then if you take it a little bit further, the right shoulder will start to lift. You can free your arm. And you might even begin to roll all the way over to your left-hand side. Each time you relax back onto the ground, make sure that the body is completely relaxed. And then all that happens is the foot pulls down and you allow the body to respond. Just a few more moments, seeing where the touch of the ground takes you. Let it move all the way through your body. Okay, coming all the way back down, lengthen the right leg along the mat and just take a few moments here to enjoy that feeling of length. Release in both legs. Then you're going to bend both knees, so both feet are flat on the floor, fairly close to your bottom, hip distance apart, and it's the same work. So begin by just loosening everything up, You can sway the knees from side to side, loosening up your lower back, free up your shoulders. Your arms can do whatever they choose to do here. We're just going to take that same awareness and allow it to lead us into a bridge pose. So again, it's not us doing the bridge pose. We're not going to mechanically lift the bottom. What's going to happen is once you're nice and released and relaxed, nice and loose, you're going to find both feet, and then as both feet pour into the ground and you let the knees float forwards away from you, feel how the bottom lifts. I'm going to take my jumper off because I don't think you can see my bottom lifting. And you continue practicing, pouring your feet into the ground, feeding back to your spine, and feeling how that movement causes the bottoms to lift. Each time your bottom lifts a little, stay there, floating, and try again to soften as much as you can. So softening the knees, the thighs, the pelvis, softening the shoulders, the face. And again, back to that feeling of the little body inside your big body. So if there's any tightness anywhere, wiggle around inside that tightness. Try to give the inner body space to dance in this posture. You'll start probably feeling your thighs waking up a little. If it gets too much, just come down, have a little rest, and then try again. But there's a big difference between your thighs waking up and your thighs thinking that they have to hang on. There's no reason for your thighs to hang on. There's no reason to hold yourself in place here. It's a simple collaboration between your feet pouring into the ground and sending you back to the support of your spine. And then around that support, you're able to loosen. If you think you've fallen into the trap of pushing with your pelvis, just release your bottoms a little bit. Relax your bottoms, unclench them. And you should feel that your pubis softens in response. Same way, if you feel that you're suddenly pushing with your rib cage, just tuck your chin in a little bit, free up your shoulders, and you'll feel your rib cage soften. We're not trying to go high in this posture. We're trying to just play with being as loose as you can and exploring this perhaps newfound knowledge that the more your feet pour into the ground, as long as you're loose, the lighter the body will become. Okay. When you come down, let your bottoms land first. Settle your bottoms into the ground. Lengthen both legs away from you. And just lift the arms to the vertical. Actually, let's just do that again, because some of you this might be new to you, and the instruction to lift your arms is not a very good one. Rather, begin by finding a place between your shoulder blades, kind of underneath your sternum, and press that place into the ground. That's the place from which your arms grow. We'll talk a lot about this, but just briefly, in Scaravelli Yoga, we really begin to explore this idea that your limbs and your neck, as if your neck were a fifth limb, they do not begin at your joints. All of your limbs and your neck begin at your spine, and they grow from your spine, and they give back to your spine. So in the end, we forget that we have joints that are in the way of this freedom. So bearing that in mind, you press that place underneath your sternum, behind your sternum, into the ground, and from there you allow your arms to float up. So you see the difference between lifting your arms mechanically and allowing them to grow from your spine through your shoulders. So the shoulders aren't working. Let your shoulders rest, and the arms don't have to hold themselves in place because they're supported by the spine and its connection with the ground. So your arms are just floating here. Relax your shoulders. Now, keeping that awareness of the place behind your sternum, between your shoulder blades, keep pressing that into the ground and begin to let your arms travel very slowly back behind the head. Keep pausing, go very slowly, because the temptation here is to allow the weight of your arms and the pull of gravity to take over. So each time you feel that happening, each time you feel your arms growing heavy, pause for a moment and think about giving them back to the spine. Find the lightness again, even when it gets to a quite challenging place where you're kind of halfway towards the ground. Pause there, wiggle around if you need to, loosen up your shoulders so that you can travel through them back to the spine, and from the spine allow the arms to continue to descend. When they're just above the ground, just before you touch the ground, pause there. And the same thing, try to loosen, try to lighten, and then you can let the arms rest onto the ground behind you. Just be here for a few moments. From the center of your body, feel the length of your legs and the length of your arms. Don't pull from your fingertips or push with your heels, but grow from the center. Breathe. Now we're going to bring the arms back up in the same way. So press that space between the shoulder blades and feel how the arms grow from there and begin to lift back up to the vertical. So you're not leading with your extremities. You're letting the arms move from the ground, and then let them rest onto your tummy. Now the legs, the same thing. I don't want to just mechanically bring the legs back in towards me. I want to think about a place, this time more behind the tummy button. I'm letting the right leg relax to the side, kind of roll open. And then from that place behind the tummy button, as if I had a string, I'm drawing the knee back towards me. And then place that foot flat on the floor. And then do the same thing with the left leg. Let it go floppy. And then from kind of your tummy button, draw the knee towards you and place the foot flat onto the floor. Okay, again, little bridge pose. So let the arms, they can rest on your tummy, they can fly in the sky, do whatever they want. The body is soft, and there's this springiness in your legs as you begin to let the feet pour into the ground. The feet spring back to the spine, the pelvis begins to lighten, and the bottom floats away from the ground. Find your breath travelling freely through your bones that are able to dance and find the freedom underneath your skin. There's nothing rigid or held about this posture or any posture. As well as pouring through your feet now, you could begin to think about pouring through the other places that are touching the ground, the back of your skull, the top of your shoulders. Just keep an eye the minute you start to feel tight or rigid or clenched, do less. Widen, open, release, dance. Okay, again, the bottoms land first. And then you're going to just gently bring the knees into the chest. Place the heels of your hands onto your knees so that your shoulders stay nice and relaxed. And just rock and roll a little bit from side to side. Just freeing everything up. Okay, now we're going to take that little bridge pose and what we've learned from that into a chair pose, a standing chair pose. So when you feel ready, roll onto your right hand side and slowly make your way back, or make your way rather, because we haven't been there yet, to a standing position. So exactly the same feelings. You begin with your feet. You find both feet, their connection with the ground. From that touch, you spring back towards your spine, so that you are supported, springy legs. The more the feet pour into the ground, the more you spring back to your spine and find lightness. You can then begin to relax and loosen the body because you found that support. And then the beginning of chair pose. All we do is simply bend the knees a little. Now what's really important though is as you bend the knees, you don't suddenly start taking your weight down. It's the opposite. The feet are going down, but they're causing you to lift. And so between that play of being drawn down, which draws us up, if you like, between those two pulls of gravity, the knees can begin to soften and bend. But there's nothing going on in my thighs. I'm not having to, I'm just coming out of that a minute, because again, your thighs will wake up, but there's a big difference between them waking up and you having to hold on with them. I'm sorry if my head has been cut off a little bit. I hope it's not too off-putting, but the room is quite small. So yes, where was I? Yeah, if I start bending my knees and I allow my weight to go down with them, which is what we often do, that's kind of a habit, then immediately the thighs do have to start holding on. They have to, because they have to protect my knees, because all of my weight is going down through my knees or my ankles. So this is about learning how to, as the knees bend, you're still lifted. It's as though you've got giant hands around your waist that are lifting you. So your roots are going down, but the overall feeling in this posture is one of being lifted. And so just play around with that for a little bit. I'm going to turn sideways on. It might be easier for you to see what I'm doing. So establishing my feet first, that springy feeling back up through my spine, which allows me to be supported, which in turn allows me to loosen the whole of my body. So I'm not hanging on with shoulders or neck or thighs, and then just able to play between those two places. And you can keep it quite high if this is new to you and you're just getting used to it. Just keep focusing on releasing, loosening thighs, buttocks, calves. And then, if you are more used to this posture and you want to go a little bit deeper, again, the important thing is to remember that you're going to have to kind of start shifting your body around a little bit, playing with the balance of your body as you become lower. But the important thing is that you still stay lifted. Again, the thighs will wake up. The minute they do, see if you can loosen them. If it gets too difficult, come out and try again. If anything's going on in your knees, don't go too far. Again, the more you get used to this idea, and this might be very new to you, or you may be very used to me, but the more you get used to the idea of being supported up through your tummy button, then there won't be any weight in your knees. And if you're looking at me, you can see I'm sort of playing with lifting my heels. That helps me to feel springier and lighter. I play with the position of my bottom. I play with freeing up the spine. Again, the minute you start to feel rigid or held, there's no point staying there, because if you become rigid and held and tight, the breath can't travel anymore. And that's what we want, isn't it? We want that breath to be able to continue to flow through these fluid bones so that they can dance. Okay, So I wanted to take then that same awareness into some balancing postures this morning. So quite nice to start in, again, a very gentle chair pose. Yeah, I might, no, I'll stay, I might come sideways on. So very gentle chair pose. And then, so at the moment you're kind of getting used to, oh, there are my 2 feet pouring into the ground and feeding back towards my spine, lifting and supporting me. Now, without doing anything mechanically, simply begin to put more of that awareness into your right foot. Okay? So focusing a little bit more on the right foot, pouring into the ground, feeding back towards the spine, coming through your bones, through your joints, and then almost without, I don't know if you can see my feet, but almost without me thinking about it, my left foot has begun to lighten. Because I'm focusing so much on my right foot, my left foot has begun to lighten, the heel is lifted, and I'm kind of up on the tip of my big toe. And it's just another little step from there for that left foot to float away completely. Now, that was quite nice. That reminded me of what I asked you to do just now when you were lying on the ground. Rather than bending the left knee in to your chest mechanically, I asked you to think about a little string in your tummy button that kind of lifts that left foot off of the ground. So that's a lot of things to think about, but see if you can play around with that a little bit. So starting in a gentle chair pose, and then just focusing more on my right foot, pouring into the ground, springing back to the spine. And then from that spine, I'm kind of picking up my left foot. Nothing mechanical at all. It's just being lifted from the spine away from the ground. Now, as we're practicing with this, especially again if it's new to you or if it's just one of those days where the balance isn't coming easily, do honestly take hold of a support. You know, put your hand on a wall or a piece of furniture, because what I'm interested in here isn't necessarily the balance that will come with stillness, but what I'm interested in are these sensations of how the right leg supports us by putting down its roots and springing back up into the trunk, and then from that trunk the left foot is picked up. And that's it. That's it. And then, you know, if you've got your balance, what you start to do then is just explore the same feelings as we've been looking at. You know, am I loose or am I tight and clenched? You can play around with this left leg a little bit. Can my bones breathe? Let's begin to play around now. So let your arms, you know, if you're imagining your right leg as your tree, the tree puts down its roots, and the deeper they go, the taller the tree grows. And then your arms, your left leg, just sprouting from the centre of that trunk. And then when the right leg gets tired, you just change sides. So always think about starting from chair pose. I think it's a really, really nice place to begin a balance with that knee a little bit soft. You can always open it. later on. So here I'm focusing more and more on the left foot, springing back to the spine, and then it's almost as I'm picking up, drawing up that right foot. Focusing not on the foot that's lifting. I mean, I don't want to lose it, awareness of it, but I'm really focusing on my support, on that left foot, pouring into the ground, putting down its roots, lifting me up towards the sky. And then you can just begin to play around with your branches. Remember the neck. I talked about the neck as your fifth limb. So the same feeling of the neck beginning deep inside the spine and growing from there. The same as both of your legs and both of your arms. And then if you want to come into or come towards kind of more recognizable, there's no reason to, but some of you might like to, more recognizable posture, Vrikasana, you apply, there's no rush, there's no hurry, you apply the same feelings, sensations, find your supporting leg first, and then if you wanted to, you could bring your left foot onto your ankle or onto your knee or into Vrikasana. And again, even here, don't be tempted if you found a position that you're enjoying and you want to be still. You know, it might be down there, it might be with your foot there. Then be still, but don't be rigid. Keep checking in that you haven't suddenly become like a dead statue. You can usually tell by the look on your face. I'm thinking of Judith now. You know, smile. If your face is all tensed up because you're concentrating too much and not having fun, then the rest of your posture will be tensed up. And then have a go with the other leg. Remember that breath. Okay. Taking these same awarenesses into what I'd call a floating Trikonasana. So again, just exploring our journey towards that posture, but without actually seeking the posture. So if you just take a little step forwards with your right foot, the left foot, the heel can be turned very slightly in, but not too much. Again, my same teacher talks about the front foot being at 12 o'clock, your back foot here, 11 o'clock. If that makes sense to you. It does to me. Same feelings, both feet equally pouring into the ground. Your front knee can be a little bit bent, your back leg a little bit straighter, but without pushing back through the knee. The important thing is that you feel both feet, their touch against the ground, feeding you back to your spine. Your hips are kind of facing more or less forwards in this position, so you can get a nice sense of space here in the groin. And you're just going to, while staying lifted through your tummy button, you're going to hinge forwards just a little way, not too far, Your bottoms are going backwards, your upper body is going forwards. Keep your hands on your lower back to begin with, and just get a sense of your spine there, your lower spine, and allow your waist to turn very slightly around your spine, not too far. So the hips are still soft, legs are still nice and springy, you're lifted through your tummy button, and the waist is just turning a little. Shoulders are resting on the rib cage. Ooh. The neck. See, it happens to the best of us. I lose my balance occasionally. The neck, a continuation of the spine. And you're just floating here, feeling lifted through your spine, feeling light, feeling springy, feeling completely relaxed. And then come back. Do the same thing on the other side. So your left foot is forwards, your right foot back a little. Again here, not turned out too far, just 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Hips are nice and soft. Your bent knee can be, your front knee can be a little bit soft, a little bit bent. Back knee straighter, not locked. If you need to lift that back heel, it's fine. And if you lift the front heel as well, you can feel a lot more springy. It's a bit more difficult on the balance. And then thinking about that space in the groin there, let your body hinge over that space. I can feel both bottoms going backwards as the upper body goes forwards, not too far, not interested in going far. And then think about your spine and just let the waist turn around it a little. Tiny movement, just so that you can really work comfortably on loosening up. If there's any tension anywhere, spot it. Try and breathe into it. Come out of the posture a little bit. Again, smiling. And come back. Okay, this time we're going to see if we want to take the arms into it. So the right foot forwards. Keep them on your lower back for the moment, just to remind that lower back to stay nice and soft. Front knee can be a little bit bent, back knee straighter. As you lengthen forwards, you might want to go a little bit further this time, you don't have to. And then as the waist just turns, put the fingertips into your sternum there. So remember that that's the place from which your arms grow. Springy legs, still supported, soft shoulders, soft neck, and then from that place, open your arms. Now, regular students of mine will know what I'm always banging on about with them. Don't look for the posture. When you open your arms, a lot of people have a tendency to want to fling that left arm back away from them. That's horrible. Don't do that. So, sorry to sound so bossy, but the waist turns, there's the place from which the arms grow. Let them grow naturally from there, so that if you were to come back out of that posture, your arms would be here, not some funny place back here. Do you see what I mean? So again, you can keep coming in and out of it. Practice the journey. That's much more important than the posture. The waist turns. There's the centre. The arms open. So floating Trikonasana. Anywhere that feels tense, Recognize it. For me, that was just pulling there a little bit. So I've come out of it a little bit, wiggling around, softening, adjusting, and come back up. Same thing on the other side. So your left foot is forwards, left knee a little bit bent, nice and springy, nice and wiggly. Over I go, not too far. And then the waist can turn, and my fingertips are in the sternum there. You know, with the fingertips in there, don't be in a hurry to open your arms. With the fingertips in there, you can really get a sense of your shoulders. You might want to put your hands on your shoulders to really feel how relaxed they are. And then just explore opening your wings, you know, and then you can tuck them back in again and open them again. Still lifting through that point so that you're not having to hold on in a violent way, but you're being held in a beautiful way. Let's just do one more pair of those. So the right foot forwards, feeding back to your spine, freeing up hips and shoulders, lengthening backwards through the bottoms and forwards through the upper body. An awareness of your spine and the waist turning around it. So this hip doesn't have to open, this left hip stays nice and rested, and it's just the waist that's turning. And then if you want to practice opening your wings without seeking anything at all, without striving. And come back when you're ready. And last time on this side. Really taking your time to install those feet, to find that inner support, and then the freedom as you turn. What does that do to your legs? How can you soften? Watch that right arm. I can almost see you in my mind's eye. Watch that right shoulder. If you're not sure, let it hang back in front of you, that right arm, and then open again from the spine, not from the shoulder. Lovely. Okay, come up. Just wanted to finish with another balance. Ardha Chandrasana, your half moon balance. This might be a little bit more challenging for some of you, but just stay gazing at the ground. You can keep both hands on the ground if you need to, and again, just focusing on the sensations. Okay, so for this posture, the right foot and the right hand are going to be on the ground. Okay, you fold it forwards over the space in the groin to put your right hand on the ground. Now, if that's really too difficult for you, you can bend the knee a little bit, but if it's still too difficult, that's fine, it's normal. Just find a little book and support your hand with that book. I'll do it with the hands supported so you can see. So my right foot and my right hand are on the ground, or on my support. They are both feeding back to my spine. So I'm not putting my weight down through my hand or my foot. From their touch, I'm lifting into my spine. And the more I do that, the more I focus on those two places lifting, the lighter my left leg becomes, and eventually it will float towards the sky. It doesn't have to go too high if you just want to play with lifting your foot a tiny bit to begin with. But again, those of you who are more used to this posture can lift a little bit higher. I'm not interested in how high you can go. I'm interested in this hand, this foot, feeding into the spine, and from the spine, the other leg grows. If you want to go more deeply into the posture and you know it, you can open the left arm to the sky. Again, no flinging it back away from you. No rigidity. Keep being able to play around inside. And then bring the foot down and do the same thing on the other side. So if you need your book or your brick or whatever you've got to hand, take your time. Left foot, left hand, feeding back up. So make sure there's no pull from that left shoulder. You need to be able to feel that you're feeding back through it to the spine. And then the more you focus on that, the more you'll find this right foot just begins to lift. Just a little bit perhaps. As I say, stay focused on the ground. It's easiest to begin with. And then little by little, that right leg will float higher. And if you want to open into the posture, I'm actually stabler without a book, or more stable rather. There you go, well done. Quite intense, those balances. It all looks so slow, doesn't it? But it's like I say in my description of Scaravelli yoga, it's slow, but it's intensely powerful. So you deserve a bit of rest and relaxation. Find your way down onto the ground. I'll come down with you to begin with, actually. So go nice and mindfully, keeping your knees bent to begin with, whilst you let the upper body get comfortable. Releasing your shoulders, lengthening the neck a little bit, freeing up the lumbar spine. And then if your body allows you to, you can lengthen both legs. And you can let both arms, ideally in Shavasana, your arms are away from your body with the palms facing the sky. But for some people that's not comfortable. So if it's not comfortable for you, find a different place for your hands. And then when you feel that you can completely let go, close your eyes. Close your eyes and connect with your breath. Without trying to change or force anything at all. Just allowing your breath to find its own natural rhythm. It may be deep, it may be shallow. You may find yourself pausing There's no right or wrong way. You don't have to control anything. When we're asleep, we don't control our breath. The body is wise. It knows exactly how and when to breathe. And you trust your body to do that. So here in Shavasana, we're not asleep, and it's an ideal moment to observe the wisdom of the body. It's quite difficult letting go of the idea that we need to do the breath. And this quality of observing the body's wisdom is what we try to take into our asana practice, rather than doing postures, copying a teacher or a photograph. We trust the wisdom of the body. We create an environment of awareness, of touch, of inner support. But then we allow the body to respond to that in its own way. Which is very different to anyone else's way. Now, gently place your hands onto your abdomen or chest, and in the way that I taught you, gently bend one knee after the other. Take a few deeper breaths, allowing those breaths to guide you back to the present moment. And when you feel ready, roll onto your right hand side. Stay there for a few moments before coming back to sit. Shanti. There we go. I hope you enjoyed that class. Just finding my glasses. And most of all, I really do hope that you'll think about trying to join me live. I know the time isn't going to suit everyone. You've got Monday mornings at 10, Wednesday evenings at 6:30, which might work, or Friday mornings at 10. If you've got any comments, if you think that I should change those times, I mean, it's going to be really hard finding a time that suits everyone. But if you do have any thoughts, then obviously share them with me. And if you've got any questions, then just pop me an email or give me a phone call, whatever. Love to you all. See you soon. Bye.